Just as people are gathering, if you brought a cup of tea or coffee through with you, when you're finished with it, there's a trolley just over in the extension. It'll just enable Kate. Kate said she'll start some washing up. So if you are finished with your tea or coffee, if you could put your cup on the trolley when you're done. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming back. Welcome to two meetings, the first of which is the annual meeting of parishioners, and then we'll have our annual parochial church meeting. So I do declare that the annual meeting of parishioners is open. This is a meeting that's open to anyone in the parish, as well as those who are on the electoral roll. It's at this meeting that we elect our church wardens. I've had two nominations for church warden. The first of which is Helen Wren, who's been proposed by Wendy Hewitt and seconded by Mike Hewitt. And the second is Michael True, who's been proposed by Martin Bales and seconded by Steve Connor. I haven't received any other nominations, and so therefore I declare that they are indeed duly elected unopposed. Thank you to Michael and to Helen for all you've done in this last year. We will be having a look at how that year has gone, but it's just been fabulous having the two of you to support and cheer and do so much of the grunt work in the background. We're basically about a £250,000 business when it all comes down to it, and keeping that machinery going takes a lot of work in the background. So Michael and Helen, thank you so much for what you do, most of which is unseen, but all of which is hugely appreciated. So thank you so much. And thank you for being willing to come back and do it all again. I declare the annual meeting of parishioners closed. Welcome to the annual parochial church meeting. It all suddenly feels very different now, doesn't it? This is the meeting in which only those on the electoral roll can vote. So apologies for absence this year. I've had apologies from Max Burgess, Steve Connell. I've just seen him walk in.
Oh, well, yeah. Delete it if it's cool.
Helen Dobson, Colin and Debbie Patterson, Nigel Pells, Liz Powderly, Louise Robinson, Anne Russell-Smith, Jeff and Jill Stamp, Joan Thackeray and Lynn Bias. Does anyone else need to communicate apologies? Bunty and Jeff Allen, thank you. Any others? Great, thank you. Apologies to those of you who've been trying to look at things on the website, and apparently sometimes for some people the website hasn't quite been behaving itself and being able to access online documents. So I do apologise for that. But I do hope that you've been able to see what you needed to see, whether in hard form or online. So the minutes of the last annual meeting, any corrections, any amendments I need to make? Are you happy that I sign those as a correct record? All those in favour, please show. Any against? Any abstentions? Brilliant, I shall sign those as a correct record. Any matters arising not covered anywhere else on the agenda? Thank you. Election of PCC reps. A huge thank you again to the PCC. The PCC are again some of those unsung heroes who do the stuff in the background. to enable the stuff that goes on up front. Debbie Patterson is the only person who's stepping down and not re-standing for PCC. So I hope the rest of you will bear with me as I just say a huge thank you to Debbie for all that she's done on the PCC. I was going to be a little bit more fulsome than that, but we can edit that out and do the next bit. Yeah, huge thank you to Debbie, not least as church warden when I arrived, and Peter as well as church warden when I arrived. I have to say I've been really blessed by those who've offered their services as church warden during my time here. You've been hugely supportive and hugely efficient, so thank you. Debbie will continue to do lots of stuff behind the scenes in terms of our finances. Debbie is one of those extraordinary people who can speak spreadsheet as well as speak English, and is able to translate for the rest of us who only speak one of those languages. So I'm immensely grateful for Debbie for all that she does do in the background, and thank you for being willing to continue to be part of looking over our finances and helping us with that. In terms of those who are standing for election this year, of nominations of Helen Law, proposed by Ros Hay and seconded by Jill Stamp. Fiona Murray, proposed by Helen Cross and seconded by Pippa Hammond-True. Steve Connor, proposed by Helen Daw and seconded by Faith Lewis. Of Karen Pearson, proposed by Debbie Patterson and seconded by Wendy Hewitt. And Phil Lewis, proposed by Wendy Hewitt and seconded by Stella Pycroft. There are 5 vacancies for the next 3 years, and there being only 5 nominations, unless there are any other from the floor. There being 5 places and 5 people nominated, I therefore declare that they are duly elected unopposed. Thank you so much to those who have put themselves forward. The work starts tomorrow. We've got a PCC tomorrow evening. So you get your feet under the table very quickly. And then just so you know, we're also having a PCC away day on the first Saturday in June. Just to let you know that the PCC will be trying to look ahead for the next 3 to 5 years and just trying to say what types of things we're hoping we might see in that time. So if you have suggestions as to what you think that would look like, please do catch a word with me or with a member of the PCC, and please do be praying for us. We're going away to Thicket Priory to be hosted by the nuns there, and Helen Lawrence, who's one of the managers at Wydale, is going to facilitate that day for us. So I think that's the 7th of June. Please do be praying for the PCC, that actually we will have that wisdom and vision as we seek the way ahead. Election of science persons. I'm not going to read out the whole report, but again, a huge thank you to those who provide that welcome and do the unsung bits before and after services. Thank you to Louise Robinson for all that she does to coordinate that. And thank you to those of you who give your time in order to make this place run, particularly on a Sunday. We do need, as an APCM, to formally say, yes, these are our representatives. So if I can just read out the names, and then I'll put this to a formal vote that we're saying that, yes, as the church community, these are our representatives, the site people. They are Anne Brabbs, Anne Robinson, Stephen Kirkman, David Tooley, Anna Russell-Smith, Elaine Lambert and Pete Lambert, Anne Fry, Colin Patterson, Alec Cartwright, Kay Cartwright, Louise Robinson, Elliot Hammond, Joan Thackeray, Max Burgess, Faith Lewis, Wanda Powell, and Helen Dobson, and Helena Biddle, and then Sarah Henshaw and Beryl Johnson. All those in favour that they are elected as our size people for next year, please show. Any against? Any abstentions? Brilliant. Thank you again to all our size people who do a fab job. And it's really important that actually, well, as we said in our service this morning, actually just a smile as you walk through the door, actually kind of reassuring that actually, yes, the love of God is in this place. Electoral roll report. Thank you again to Nigel Pells for the work in the background. So I'll just read this out. This is from Nigel. It says, following the complete renewal of the electoral roll this May, It stands at 185 members, 106 of whom are residents in the parish and 79 non-resident. At the last complete renewal 6 years ago, it stood at 234. Every time there's a renewal, things go down, we'll find that it builds up again. But over that 6-year period, 45 people on the roll have died, 41 have joined the roll, and 45 people haven't yet responded to the renewal notice to let people know that it was being renewed. Nigel just says thank you to Wendy Hewitt for chasing and recording responses. So that's our electoral roll report. Safeguarding report, Pat. Do come and join us. You'll need a microphone. We're very fortunate at St Edward's to have people of wisdom and experience in key positions. That'd be great if you're able to just use those microphones. Pat is one of those people. I'm immensely grateful. She's got great safeguarding antennae and a real common sense to guide us through a world which is very safeguarding sensitive. And so, Pat, thank you. Before you tell us what you've been doing, thank you so much for what you've been doing, but also how you've been doing it. It's immensely appreciated.
Well, it's not so much what I've been doing, it's what we as a parish have been doing. The days when you've got very little guidance as to what you should be doing as a parish church thankfully ended, and we get a lot of detailed guidance now from the House of Bishops, one of which is that every year the PCC should state whether St Edward is complying with the code of practice issued by the House of Bishops as far as safeguarding children and vulnerable adults is concerned. And the House of Bishops puts what we should be doing under 6 main headings, which is why my report might look slightly formulaic. It's under the same 6 headings, and at least one of these headings involves everybody who's in any way involved with our church. So the first one is that we should adopt the bishops promoting a safer church safeguarding policy and statement. They're on the website, and they're also in various notice boards around the building. Appoint at least one appropriate experienced parish safeguarding officer. Well, the PCC reappointed me last year, so I guess they must think that I'm appropriately qualified, suitable. The 4th point is safely recruit, support and train all church officers who work with children and vulnerable adults, including all volunteers. So that obviously starts with the safeguarding standard checks, like the DBS, the confidential declaration form, taking up references for people who are volunteering here for the first time. But it also goes a lot further than that. And Helen Cross now does a whole detailed induction, which includes all sorts of things, from interviewing people before they're appointed to arranging for people to do safeguarding training online at the levels that are set down for what their role should do, and monitoring, encouraging, and Sally gets involved as well. And between the two of them, they do an awful lot of work to make sure that everybody who volunteers with children and young people has the knowledge, the skills, knows who to go to if they have a problem, and has their own antennae being developed for just being a bit concerned that perhaps they should share something that they've come across. So that's the 4th one is display appropriate information. So that starts with contact details for designated safeguarding officers, who to contact, from social services to domestic advice support. And those are all around the building. I don't know if you've noticed, the backs of the toilet doors, I think, now have notices, including some at child level for children, to spread the details of who to contact if you've got any sort of concern or any sort of issue with safeguarding that you want to share with somebody or that you need help with. The 5th thing is to review and report progress regularly. So that's why safeguarding is a standing item at every PCC meeting. I need to go, I think it's at least twice a year, to report to the PCC so they can ask me questions in person, and if they want me to go to any other meetings, I will. And also the PCC now does have quite detailed discussions at some of their meetings about an issue with safeguarding, or if there's a new project starting up at St Edward's, what's going to be in place to train and support people with any safeguarding issues for that, whether it's children or whether it's visiting adults. So that's in place. And the last one is the one that really is for everybody. It's create a respectful environment within which safeguarding concerns can be raised. I think that is at the heart of safeguarding. It's that everybody has their sharp antennae developed, is confident about raising a concern if they've got one, and knows where to take that concern. And that's me done. Unless, has anyone got any questions?
Any questions? Thank you, Pat. Again, one of the things that the Church of England has developed is what's called a safeguarding dashboard, which is basically an online checklist which helps you to go through different stages of safeguarding preparation. And just to report, that's something we've been looking at as a PCC over the last year and seeing where are the areas which we need to improve. At the moment, basically everything is green. There are 3 levels. We're at level 3 and 100% green. So it operates on a traffic light system. So basically all our safeguarding procedures are up to date. But as Pat said, that is not the end of the story. Actually, it's the day-to-day, looking after each other. Safeguarding is about enabling people to flourish, pure and simple. And actually being that community where actually all are able to flourish and feel safe in order to do so. So for Pat particularly, but to all of you, thank you for being part of that kind of community. Please let us help us to continue to be that, and also to see those places where we can do that better as well. Presentation of accounts for the year. This is why I'm really sorry that Debbie isn't here and Helen isn't here either, because they are the ones who really do talk numbers and do so intelligibly. Debbie has given me a little PowerPoint which I can talk to and a few notes. So I do apologise where I'm not bilingual, but I'm hoping that on the screens we'll have a little PowerPoint which will talk us through the annual accounts. The accounts themselves are about 30 pages long. You may or may not feel like you really want to plough your way through those. But thank you to Debbie for putting together this PowerPoint, which will kind of give us a flavour of what things are like and where we're up to. Thank you, Steve. You know, we're talking at 10 o'clock about acts of service being part of an action of love. This is the financial position for the last financial year. So our accounts have now been signed off by our independent examiner, and she's happy that all is in order and above board. So this is kind of the outline summary. The first of which is that of our income, most or just over half our income comes from planned giving. So that's the big blue segment on the right-hand side of the screen. The next biggest chunk is that sort of purpley bit next to it, which is actually our gift aid reclaim. So most of our income, or a majority of income, comes from you. You are the ones who are enabling the life of this church day to day by providing nearly 2/3 of the income by your direct giving and our ability to then reclaim the tax that you paid. So for that, a huge thank you. You are literally the lifeblood of the church in terms of our finances. Archie, could you just go back one? The little green segment there, this actually made a real difference. So the light green segment is actually one-off gifts. There are a number of very generous one-off gifts in the last financial year, which mean that we've ended up in a rather better position than we had feared. And the other big green bit, the darker green, is our basically our rentals. So actually our hall and our parish rooms, again, provide a significant chunk of our income. And again, thank you to those of you who enable our rooms to be in a good state for those coming to use them. There are a number of other smaller revenue streams, but as you can see, basically our giving and our hall rentals are the two major chunks that come through. In terms of unrestricted income, on to the next slide. This is basically just to compare what's happened over the last few years. As you can see, during COVID, we've had a real dip. So on the left-hand side, it is left-hand side, is our planned giving. For the first time since COVID, we're now up in our planned giving to a point where we were before COVID. So again, thank you for that. Which means that, as you can see, the one next to it, our gift aid is actually now, our regular gift aid is now back up again. The reason that the gift aid in the middle is, the purple one is a bit bigger, is because at that point we had a separate appeal for the roof, and lots of people gave very generously towards that, so which meant that our gift aid claim was a bit bigger that year as well. But as you can see, the regular income and the regular gift aid is now looking a lot healthier than it was. And as you can see, the fourth one along, next to the one with the big purple spike, that's our rental income. So again, our rental income has gone down and is on its way back up again. We're not quite where we were before COVID, but we're nearly there with our rental income. So who gives the money? Well, in 2024, there are 118, well, we say people. It could be giving units, it could be households. What we know is there are 118 units giving. That could be individuals, that could be households, we don't know. And I don't know who those are, so I have no idea who's giving what. But of those, 17 giving units, 17 people or 17 households give 50% of our total giving. Every single parish in the Church of England has that same giving profile, which is kind of a curve like that, which means that a smaller number of people are giving a lot, and a larger number of people are giving regularly, but a bit less. And one of those challenges is actually think, where can I maybe just spare a little bit more and move so that actually that there are more people taking that the wider load. So I have seen the numbers, and there are certain households I'm praying don't travel on the same plane together. Because there are some very significant givers as part of that. In terms of expenditure, our two big bits of expenditure, I'm just going down into here. The chunk on the right-hand side is our free will offer. This is what we give to the diocese out of our income. That's about 40% of our total expenditure. Now, we do get a lot of that back because in terms of this year, we gave £93,000 to the diocese. In terms of getting money back from that, we get back between 75 and 78,000. Firstly, in me, I don't get all of that money. But in terms of me, my housing, all that sort of costs of keeping a vicar, but also in terms of diocesan support for what we do. So we get free legal advice, we get free safeguarding advice, we get free comms, we get free education advice, all the stuff that goes on at the centre which directly benefits us, as well as the stuff which maybe just keeps the Church of England running in the background. So the administration of things like the DAC, which is the Diocesan Advisory Commission, which tells us what we can do with our buildings and how we can use our buildings. Which means that last year, about £15,000 we gave away to the diocese to use to support ministry elsewhere, in places where we don't have a reach, but we can still make a difference by enabling that ministry in poorer parts of the diocese where actually they can't support that cost of ministry for themselves. So our giving has enabled people in Hull, in Middlesbrough, along the East Coast particularly, places like Withensea, Scarborough, Bridlington, these are places where there's real poverty and the church can't afford to support. So we have enabled those people to hear the good news of Christ. We can't go there ourselves, but actually that's where our free will offer has been going. Chunk. The other big chunk here, the purple bit on the left-hand side, is premises. We've had to spend a lot of money on doing things up around the building. Now, some years that's big, some years that's smaller. It just so happens that last year we've had to spend quite a big chunk just on keeping the place standing upright. And as you can see on the next slide, our unrestricted expenditure. So on the right-hand side is the premises. You can see that big chunk where we had the roof appeal. And as you can see, sadly, in the last year, we've had to reduce our free will offer. We were giving it £105,000. We've had to reduce our free will offer in order to just to try and balance our books a little bit. That was a really hard decision to take as a PCC because actually we're not affected by that. If we cut our giving to the diocese, it doesn't affect us, but it does affect another parish somewhere else. And they then can't have a vicar, or they then can't do something which is supported by the diocese. And this is a key one. This is the general fund balance over time. So as you can see, the last 4 years, we've been running a deficit budget. Before COVID, we were in a very fortunate position to have a decent amount of reserves. But the 4 years since COVID, we've always been running a deficit budget. We expected this year to be running a deficit budget as well, but by the grace of God, by your generosity, and by careful management of those looking after our money, actually we've managed to make a very slight surplus of about £2,000, which is why we have above the line a very small surplus there. We are very fortunate that we do have a legacy. Joan Rowland's legacy is still in the bank and still gathering us interest. We've kind of been saving that just until our regular cash flow becomes something that we can rely on. What we don't want to be doing is to spending money speculatively and then to have to come back. So the idea is once we get our regular giving basically balanced with our regular expenditure, our regular income with our regular expenditure, we can then decide on those things which actually will be a real benefit to the church and to our community, thanks to Joan's generosity in her will. I think the next couple of slides I'm just going to skip over because those kind of take you through the different funds in which our money sits. As Debbie said, basically it's like jam jars. We do have different jam jars in which all our money sits and out of which we then pay for things. If you do want to have a look at those slides, I've got some printouts here. Please do come up afterwards, but it's probably a bit small to be able to see that at the moment. So if you're okay, I don't particularly understand all of those funds anyway, but if you're okay just for me to skip over those two slides and just to come to basically a thank you. We were expecting about a £40,000 deficit. That's what we budgeted for this year. We made a small surplus of about 2,000. Thank you for your generosity and your giving, because that is part of what's enabled that. Our giving is now back slightly above where it was before COVID. In a time when actually there is real financial pressures on households. That speaks of a generosity at the heart of St Edward's, for which I can only give thanks. So thank you so much to all of you, but also thank you to our finance team, who are those who have A, put the numbers together, but also B, helped us to navigate our way through what has been a really difficult few financial years. We're not out of the woods yet. We are budgeting for a deficit budget this year again, partly because we don't know what our income is going to be. We've got a pretty good handle on what we think our expenditure is going to be, because a lot of it is fixed. But actually the income bit is where we need to start thinking about what we can do to balance those books. So thank you so much to you. Thank you to our finance team. Any questions? Wow. I'm really glad there aren't any questions, because I'm not entirely sure my bilingual nature would have taken me any further. One thing which I did wonder if it might be helpful, last Lent, we produced a little document which tries to give a bit of an idea where our money comes from and where it goes. If you find it helpful to take another copy, I've printed off 20 there, so please do come and take a hard copy of where our money comes from and where it goes. It kind of just tells you in broad brush terms how the Church of England works and how it works, how parish finances work. So please do grab that at the end of the APCM if you'd like to. We need Doris.
One thing I would like to know about, that's what's going to happen to our senator. Brought forward to you,
Yep.
Oh, I'm on air at last.
Yes, you are.
I brought the message to you. Well, asked you about our thing outside.
Yep.
So can we get some money to do it up? Because I think, well, we us generations haven't done it, but it's been standing there years, longer than what we've been sitting here. And I think it's up to us to see that that cenotaph gets done up before Remembrance Day. Do you all agree with me? Because I think when you're coming into York from Leeds, even from London, if you're coming on the A1, it's not a very nice welcome to look at the cenotaph, how it is in a state, isn't it? The last time that was done up was when Bernard got it done, and he's been gone 11 years. Yeah, I think it's about time it was done up.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, Sally?
Yeah, Laura, my daughter, has been doing quite a lot of work in the background to do with the cenotaph. So she's been in contact with quite a lot of the local councillors, and she's been in touch with the RAFA and World War II organisations as regards to funding. So it is in hand, it is being looked into, and there have been some sort of conversations about how we would go about actually cleaning it and not damaging the stonework. So again, behind the scenes, things are happening, but things do take a little bit of time. So if you just bear with us, I know Laura's on that. So, and I think she's had conversations with Helen Wren as well. So,
Thank you to Laura as well. Yes, you raised this last year, and as I said, there are other things which, there is actually quite a long list of things which we need to, as part of the church here. Just the first thing, which is actually a safety thing, is to tie the spire back to the church. We were fearful that actually the spire, we were fearful the stonework was in a state which meant we might need to rebuild a lot of that west end of the church. Thankfully, the structural engineers tell us that that isn't actually going to be necessary. We were fearful it might be about £150,000 worth of work. The good news, as such, is it's going to be about 30,000. Basically, what we need to do is we need to tie, to get some steel cables to reinforce the attachments of the spire to the church. So when it comes to things battling for finances, I'm afraid that stands ahead of the cenotaph, but it is still on our list. And as Sally has said, Laura is still pursuing just things in the background, just to see where we might be able to get funding, when actually very few people have money to spare at the minute. So there are some difficult choices about where we spend our money. Which brings us neatly onto fabric. I'm going to basically take these as read. Is there anyone who'd like to anyone from fabric who will just want to say anything? Michael, do you want to?
Not that anybody's got any questions. Just cover the main issue. So, any questions?
We had our quinquennial report in this last year. The quinquennial report, pick a number, it basically raised a number of issues, some of which I have to do, some of which would be would be nice to do. The things we have to do, we have to get that spire fixed, and we have to get some of the external stonework repaired, because it is degrading to the point where actually we can't just leave it for very long. So in this next year, we are going to have to spend at least 30,000, probably closer to 50, just in getting the building more secure. We have a fabulous architect, Louise Priestman, and basically her big thing is that any repairs that we do should outlast our lifetime. She doesn't want to be coming back and doing things again. So we are trying to make sure that what we do is done well, so we don't then come back and have the same conversation in 10 years' time. Anything else on fabric? Deanery Synod report. Linda or Helen, do you want to say anything on this one? No? I'll just quickly fill you in then. Hopefully you've read the report. Basically, the big question in the York Deanery is, well, what's the Deanery for? You know, it's what the Romans have done for us. It's kind of, what is the Deanery for? We are such a big Deanery. So Deanery is basically the gathering of the local parishes between the parish and the diocesan level. A lot of those parishes, we can do things on our own because we've got a critical mass. So one of the key things is actually, what does the Deanery do? Because in a lot of places, the Deanery provides a critical mass, which means that parishes can do more. We're exploring that, what it looks like to work better together with other parishes. We've begun to share ideas, which hopefully we can then put into place here, which maybe others are doing. Anything else on Deanery report? Fab. One thing I've just realised that we've not done is we've not appointed our independent examiner for next year, which is one of the things we do need to do as an APCM. Last year we've had Judah Summerfield, who is someone who's got all the required qualifications to be able to audit our reports. We'd like to reappoint her as our independent examiner. Anyone from Finance Committee got any comments on that? Basically, Finance Committee is happy with that. As an APCM, are you therefore happy to take the recommendation of Finance Committee that we reappoint Judah Summerfield as our independent examiner? All those please show. Anyone against? Brilliant, thank you. When it comes to our treasurer, the other thing just to let you know, when it comes to our treasurer, Helen Dobson is stepping down as our treasurer. She had actually decided she wanted to step down before Rob got really poorly and then Rob died. But I just want to say thank you so much to Helen for all that she has been doing. In spite of coping with all the sadness following Rob's death, she's actually been really involved in putting together these accounts. The act of service in that is genuinely extraordinary. So Helen, thank you so much. Again, somebody who can talk numbers as well as talking English as well. So we're deeply grateful to her, and we are in the process of hopefully appointing a new treasurer. Normally we'd tell you the APCM who that is, but it's not been signed, sealed and delivered. So I'm going to ask you, the APCM, if you're willing to the PCC take on that responsibility of appointing our new treasurer as and when that's been done. So can I just check if we're okay with that? All those in favour? Brilliant, thank you very much indeed. So just one thing I forgot to say on the fabric. And the light's looking good. That project has been so many years in gestation, it's untrue. But a huge thank you to all those who've made it possible. It was signed off last week, 10 days ago. So it is now all done. And Christine, have you seen? We've washed out the back wall as well. All right. Yes. Yeah. Brilliant. Oh. Well, again, thank you for all that you've been doing there as well. Anything else? Any other business? Fab. The date of the next PCC meeting is tomorrow. We're starting at 7 o'clock because we're going to have Eucharist in here before we then go on to the formal business of the PCC. But that is it. Clergy report. I think next slide, please, Ian. That's our strapline. Following Jesus, we're called to be caring, committed, and courageous. And that's what we're seeking to do more and more, to go deeper into that, and then to broaden that out to others. But as we all know, it's been a really tough few years. I keep using the image of a Narnia winter. It's felt like life has been really hard, and it's felt like things have been quite cold. And it's just felt like there's been good stuff going on, but it's felt like it's been going on in an environment which is actually quite hostile. It does, however, feel like things are just beginning to change. As I said in my weekly email at the start of the year, it feels like there are rumours of Aslan on the move, and it feels like there's a bit of a thaw beginning. Helen Wren has done her magic with the photos over the last year, so that we're going to just sit back and watch what 2024 looked like. And actually, as you watch this video, you might notice that actually it almost feels like there's an energy that goes, as the video goes through the year, there's an energy that builds. It kind of feels like the start of the year is quite quiet, and then as the 24 goes on, it feels like we begin to see the thaw. So Helen, thank you for all your work on this. Let's have a look at what the year held. Thank you so much to Helen for that. That kind of takes us up to the end of 2024. And as you see, there's kind of a thawing as the year went through. It sort of felt like a bit more energy, a bit more life was coming back to the church. So where are we up to then in terms of that sense that Aslan is on the move? What's been going on this year, which might give us a bit more encouragement on the back of what we've already seen? I think the first thing to say is that we have actually seen just none of the things I'm going to talk about are going to be actually huge. These are just small signs of encouragement. It's when that thaw happens. It doesn't all happen at once. But you just start to see little things breaking through, which kind of hints at that thaw continuing and that greater refreshing. So we've seen a small but definite, just slight increase in numbers. Christmas, we saw more numbers this year than we saw last year. Easter, we had an absolutely packed church. And again, that seems to be something which is replicated at lots of different places across the country. It feels like this isn't something that's just happening here, but actually there's something that's going on within the Church of England and within the Christian community more widely. 3 out of the last 6 weeks at our 10 o'clock service, we've actually had 90 communicants or more for the first time since the start of COVID. So for the first time in 5 years, we've seen 90 people or more receiving communion. It's a small thing, but it's just a little bit of that thaw starting to be seen. We've seen a couple of alpha courses. Again, we've not seen huge numbers of people coming on the alpha courses, but actually we've had enough for an alpha group, both before Christmas and also one that's currently happening now. People who are wanting to explore the Christian faith more fully and more deeply. It's not massive, but actually it's a little sign that actually things are beginning to happen. In our youth and children's work, we're beginning to see things growing, particularly Little Teds. Little Teds, the numbers are beyond anything that we've seen in a while now. Little Teds is actually really full. We've got lots of preschool children and their grown-ups coming, whether those are parents, grandparents, carers. Actually, there's something going on in Little Teds at the moment. We're looking to re-establish our links with the school in this coming year. Helen and I went to see the head, and we've got booked into the diary 6 assemblies and 4 curriculum days that we're going to be having with the school in the next academic year. Again, it's not a huge thing, but it's beginning to happen. With youth group, we've got a youth group of about a dozen or so, mainly boys, some of whom who have absolutely no church connection at all. But actually a number of those are now coming to the end of their youth group life and will be moving on. So please do pray for our youth group. That we'll see others coming to join that. Where we're feeling a bit more parochial probably is with Promise, with us of primary school age on a Sunday morning. And so please do be praying for more families who will be longing to find out more about the Christian faith. We've had a couple of children bring their parents recently. We've had parents turn up and say, well, actually, they wanted to come to church, so I said I'll bring them. And again, this is something that isn't happening just here. It seems to be happening across the country, that children and young people are the ones who are asking the questions about faith and bringing their grown-ups with them. We've just seen a little hint. So please do pray that we may begin to see more of that questioning and more of that growth. We've also seen baptisms explode. We've not had so many baptisms in ages. It's been exhausting trying to get through all the baptism families, but an absolute joy as well. And we're beginning to see them come to our all-age services to be welcomed. At weddings, we've seen a slight uptick this year. We've got 5 weddings this year. We're not up into the double figures yet, which we had before COVID. But talking with people at the registry office, they've seen a huge downturn, even in civil weddings, which they're just reporting a beginning of an uptick now. COVID really put the kibosh on people getting married, I think partly because of not being able to get together, but also financially. And we're just beginning to see that recovery in the church. And yes, you may recognise the wedding couple on that particular photo. Our cafe and our Friday lunches continue to welcome people. And again, we're starting to see that community hub being used more and more. Our hall bookings, as we said, are up, but they're not quite yet where they were before COVID. And we're beginning to see more use of the church for our concerts, being able to welcome others in to this community. This place is a place of community and a place of gathering. And in order to do that, the place just looks fresh and welcoming. Thank you so much to all of those who've been part of the premises garden gang, those who've donated funds, those of you who've done the work, to making this look like a place which is a place of welcome, a place where people might actually want to be. As I've said already, there's more we need to do. That'll kind of be an ongoing thing when you've got a grade 2 listed building. But nevertheless, we've seen that refreshing of that welcoming environment in which we can then host these other things. But it's not all been a bed of roses, as we know. In any community, there will be those times of sadness as well. And just in these last few months, we've had to say goodbye to some valued members of our community. I think particularly, of course, of Rob Dobson, of Iris Galley, and most recently, Jenny Simpson. Faithful servants of God and the community here, for whom we can give thanks, but also for whom we grieve. And we do so together. And together we support those who were closest and those who feel the absence most. There will continue to be times of sadness. But my prayer is that actually as we see this renewal of our life here together as a community of faith, this may be the place in which we're able to shed our tears together, as well as to share our joy and our triumphs together. But actually this may be a place wherever how we're feeling. This is the place where actually we can be, knowing that we can be together in that presence of God. And we're able to do so because of the people who make it happen. So thank you so much to all those of you who make it happen. These are our preachers and our service leaders. Thank you so much to those of you who give of your time and your talents week in, week out, to give us the varied diet that we enjoy here at St Edward's. You're not just listening to me droning on every Sunday. Actually, one of the great joys is actually if somebody's preaching you're not don't particularly connect with, you know that next week there probably will be someone. And we're going to be feeding one another together because we all speak those different languages. We all get fed in different ways. But that variety enables us to keep going. Making sure that things just happen. We've already mentioned the back office team. But particularly this Sunday at our APCM, I just want to say a particular thank you to Angela Ainley as she prepares for saying goodbye at the end of August. Our music is one of our real strengths here at St Edward's. Angela, for what you have done, not just what you have done, but the way you've done it. Actually, you've spoken of that, the way that you've done it has enabled us to worship, because we know that you too are a worshipper. And lots of churches say they have a worship leader. Actually, I think it's more important to have a lead worshipper. And actually in Angela, we have a lead worshipper, someone whose faith is expressed through their music and invites others to come and be part of that. So Angela, as we say our goodbyes in August properly, can I just take this APCM just to say thank you so much for what has been. And I do hope that your last few weeks away has just been a little taster of what retirement might be look like. It's a warm-up for retirement. But for all that you have done, thank you. We do pray that these next few months will be a real joy for you as you prepare to say your goodbyes as well. And also our church wardens. We've already said thank you so much to them in our APCM, but thank you to Helen and to Michael. I feel deeply blessed with the church wardens I've had during my time here. And so thank you for all that you have done and for your willingness to continue to do it. And I do pray that as we go through these next few years, that you too will be encouraged by seeing that God at work. Because we've designated this year as a year of invitation. And that invitation goes to us, to be those who are followers of Jesus, an invitation to follow. We don't have to understand. We don't have to be perfect. All we have to do is be willing to follow. When Jesus called those first disciples, you knew what they thought they were getting into. But they thought it was worth following. And I pray that we too in this year will consider that this Jesus person is indeed worth following. But it's also an invitation to discipleship. It's possible to follow without actually being a disciple. Because a disciple is one who learns. And in this year of invitation, we're committing ourselves to be those who learn together. There will be change. Change happens because of time, but actually by accepting that invitation of Christ, we're saying we want to be part of determining what that change looks like. We have a choice in what this community looks like. And in that invitation to discipleship, we're saying that we're going to be those who will learn together and be part of shaping this community of faith that others might want to join in as well. We'll continue to hold courses. We'll continue to be a place where we want to see that development. And maybe one of those places which we will want to see a refreshing is actually in our house groups. Those places of smaller communities where we can look after each other more closely and ask those questions which we might feel a bit intimidated to do in a larger group. And it's also an invitation to pray, to be those who, as a part of our discipleship, pray for that coming of the kingdom. Pray to see more of that God at work. And finally, a year of invitation to invite others. Actually, to be those who reach out with that welcome of Christ. And we've been trying to provide opportunities for invitation. Opportunities where you can say, look, this is going on. Why do you come? It should be really good. I'm going. Why did you come with me? You may have seen in June, we've got the university singers coming back. They gave us an amazing concert before Christmas. They're coming in June to do a summer concert of choral music. Just one thing, you might want to say, do you know what, I'm going. Why do you come? It's free and it's going to be great. An opportunity to experience something of the community here. And as we begin to extend that invitation, maybe we might invite people to actually explore a bit more about faith as well, as experiencing parts of that community here. An invitation for God to grow the church through us. And finally, thank you. Thank you to all of you for your love, for your prayers. Thank you for what you have been doing in the background to look after others. Thank you for those places where you have been those hands and feet of Jesus, where you have communicated to others that they are indeed loved and made it more possible for them to believe that this Jesus thing could be real. None of us get it right all the time, but thank you too for your forgiveness when things haven't gone quite as we'd hoped. I loved in that service that actually saying sorry was one of the gift, the marks of showing them that we are loved, being able to say sorry. I pray that in this year to come we will see Aslan on the move, but actually more than just hearing rumours of Aslan on the move, maybe we'll catch glimpses. In the story they begin to catch glimpses of Aslan amongst them. But actually we too, as individuals and as that community of faith, will catch those glimpses of Aslan on the move. And that will make all the difference. Before we say a prayer together, there's one final thank you I need to say, which is to the lady sitting next to me. Isabel has decided that actually it's time to lay down her minutes pen. How many years have you been hearing this?
14.
14 years taking our minutes. I've been so reassured by the presence of Isabel sitting next to me. And so, Isabel, thank you so much for all those things you've done, not just sitting at the front taking notes, but actually then transcribing them, make sure that people know about all our meetings. You have been a fabulous servant of the church here. And I just want to say thank you so much. Again, not just for what you do, but the way that you do it. Someone, again, whose worship is expressed in this act of service. And so, Isabel, thank you so much. That's my final thank you. It looks like Michael's speaking up.
As always at these meetings, Richard has said a lot of thank yous. But on behalf of us all, here in person and watching online, I want to say a huge thank you to you for your strength, faith, vision, commitment, leadership and care of us all. I know we had hoped for good things, green shoots and growth in the past, but I do now believe we are seeing glimmers of good things emerging. I invite you all to give Richard a huge round of applause to show our appreciation.
Thank you. This is a really special place to be. So thank you so much. Can I invite you to stand? A prayer. Lord Jesus, for your presence with us, thank you. For your presence with us in the darkest of times, enabling us just to keep putting one foot in front of the other, thank you. For your presence with us in those best of times, as we join with the celebrations of the kingdom of heaven, thank you. And for your presence with us now. Lord Jesus, come we pray, that you may walk with us into the year ahead. We may continue to hear rumours of our time on the move. We may take glimpses of you at work. That we may indeed see you more clearly. We may love you more dearly and follow you more nearly, day by day. Amen. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord. Amen.